Things may be quiet now, but come the first week of May, the crowds will be roaring and the eyes of the world will be focused here. Because when it comes to staging an event that's truly larger than life, these hallowed grounds have been the setting for one of the world's most fascinating and thrilling spectacles since 1875. Welcome to the experience, the magic that is Churchill Downs. As someone once said, you ain't been nowhere and you ain't seen nothing till you've been to the Kentucky Derby. A tidal wave of energy, emotion, and fun. Anyone who thinks the Derby's just a horse race has never been to Churchill Downs.
The oldest section of the racetrack is the section of the racetrack directly under the Twin Spires here at Churchill Downs. That dates back to 1895. Now the track itself is 20 years older, but the original clubhouse was on the other side of the racetrack, back where the barn area is now. So the section that is the oldest now was constructed in 1895 and has those two twin spires atop it. When people see that part of the structure, even with the new parts of the racetrack that are going up around it, we're undergoing a $121 million renovation right now. When they see the central part of the racetrack, it's like looking into a time machine, and it takes you back to that era. And that part of the racetrack with those spires looks much as it did more than a century ago. For the racetrack itself here at Churchill Downs, we've got about 140 acres total for the racetrack. And actually, it's a very large section of that is racetrack and parking. So the actual stable itself, I'm guessing, is probably, and I don't know this off the top of my head, but probably maybe 35, 40 acres. It's not a huge area. Inside that space, we have 1,500 horses stabled. And from those horses, those are many of the horses that run our races throughout the meet. We've got a training center not far away, a place called Trackside Louisville that houses another 400 horses. So right here in the city of Louisville, close to the racetrack, there's a pool of about 1,900 horses. And then we also have training centers in Lexington, Northern Kentucky, Evansville. The horses come in from other tracks like Arlington Park in Chicago. They will ship in maybe on the day of the race and run. So it's a large pool of horses that contributes to the daily racing here at Churchill Downs. But on a given day, about 1,500 of them call Churchill Downs their home and live in a stall in the backside area, in the stable area.
It is so beautiful back here and exciting. You run into the trainers, the owners, and you get to see the horses firsthand. It's just the adrenaline is here. This is where it is.
The amazing thing is just showing up here in the mornings and just the whole environment that you're surrounded by and everything, and seeing the steam rise off the horses in the mornings, they're bathing them down. It just really sets a tone here that you just get caught up in. It's really neat.
From the weigh-in to the winner's circle, it's the jockeys who truly drive the Derby as they strive for the payoff.
A jockey's basic way of making money comes from just riding horses. They get 10% of the winning purse, or any purse that is won by their horse. Most racetracks pay in their purses from 1 through 5. They get 10% of what the horses earn. So out of their 10% goes probably anywhere in the neighborhood 25, 30, 35% that goes to their agent. Also, there's a flat jockey's fee that goes to each rider that rides in any race, and it ranges anywhere from $50 to $65 to $100 depending on the racing jurisdiction. So now obviously the top level jockeys, the Jerry Baileys, the Pat Days, the Gary Stevens, they ride in a lot of big races, a lot of big purses. As for the weighing procedure before and after the race, each horse is assigned an amount of weight that he or she must carry in a horse race. Now say if a jockey weighs 108 pounds and his horse is assigned 119 pounds, that's 11 pounds he has to make up, and jockeys make up for that by inserting lead pads in their saddles. So they stand there on the scale with saddle in hand, boots on, wearing everything, and they must equal that 119 pounds. If they come back with less than that, that means they dropped a lead pad somewhere, so their horse would be disqualified and they wouldn't get the purse. The horse must carry the assigned weight. He must go out with the weight. He must come back with the weight. The jocks room where the jockeys prepare, I mean, it's like a communal dorm where the jockeys come in every day. It's a locker room like any sport, except, you know, in the locker room, in say in basketball or baseball or football, you know, in those locker rooms you got people who are in there all focused on one thing. That's a team pulling together. And in the jocks room at a racetrack, you know, here are these men who are all members of this sport, but they're all working for themselves. They want to win their race on their horse or win their race for their trainer. So they all have one common goal. They want to win. They want to beat everybody else who's in that room.
And perhaps no one has more riding on a winning horse than its trainer.
I'm interested in specifically in sort of the career arc that a successful trainer goes through.
You pretty much go as your horses take you. You'll have a run maybe, you know, some of us had a run of 2 or 3 or 4 years where we got a run of horses, but the horses are going to carry you, and if you don't have the horse, you'll soon drop into obscurity. You know, you'll be out of it.
As racing's top riders jockey for position, the bets are being placed. Seasoned odds makers and newcomers alike, all sharing in their passion to cash in on a sure thing.
I think the most important thing people should do is do their homework. Pick up a daily racing farm, study it a day or two before you come to the races. Look at par figures, speed figures, look at angles, who's winning at the particular meet, whether it be a particular jockey or a trainer, and I think these are aspects you need to do your homework early.
The Downs handicapping program is just one way the Downs helps novices get in on the action.
We have a program before each race where we have analysts in the paddock that sit and look at the race, look at the logical contenders, and discuss why they like them. And you know, you're doing that in an effort to try and help race fans that may not be big race fans, maybe the casual fan who doesn't come here on a regular basis. Hopefully, you're going to say something during that period that helps impart a little knowledge, helps teach them a little something about racing, or helps them find a winner.
We've learned through the years that the easiest way to win the Derby is go down to the store, buy you a pair of jockey underwear. There's a number in the back of it. You pull that number out, you put that down for the daily double, and you take all the money home.
I went down to bet on a horse, and he said he's scratched. I said, give me Jonesy. He said, he's scratched too. I said, give me Wilson. He said, he's scratched too. I said, well, give me a number. So I took a number, and it won. That's right. I don't know what the horse was.
It's the famous fanfare that sounds the moment of truth. The call to the gate. It's post time, when one man's tune is truly music to Derby fans' ears.
I love being here and being part of the tradition, and the Derby's incredible. It's hard to put into words.
From the stables to the starting gate, these are just a few of the supporting players who help to set the Derby stage.
I've been doing this for about 14 years now, and I usually get started about 7 in the morning and get done in the evening time, 4 or 5 in the evening. I shoot an average of 8 to 12 horses a day, and I carry about 200-300 sets of shoes in my truck. We shoe them every 30 days, keep their foot nice. We use aluminum shoes because they're lighter weight, easy to shape, and they race horses. It's like a track shoe for them.
Barbara Borden is our identifier here at Churchill Downs, and she's got a job that one would think is probably not the most pleasant job in thoroughbred racing, but it's a necessary job. What Barbara does, she stands in the paddock, and as the horses come through the chute each day to run in each individual race, she checks the lip of each thoroughbred racehorse. Now, the one means of identifying thoroughbred racehorses is there's a tattoo. There's a number tattooed on the upper lip of the racehorse. She's got the papers there. She's got the tattoo number for each of the horses, and she checks that tattoo and makes sure that the number inside the horse's lip matches the number on his papers. And if so, he's allowed to run. If the number's any different, he's scratched, and we go to finding out why.
Look at this. We got 3 horses. We got Joy of It All, Blue as Robin's Eggs, and of Green Gables. I've been announcing at Churchill Downs. This is my 5th season, and I just called my 5th Kentucky Derby overall. I've called races for over 17 years, including some of the smallest tracks in the country, but this certainly has to be one of the biggest tracks. Of course, the biggest race in the country, maybe the world, is the Derby.
Luke's a great announcer. Luke's got one of those timeless voices. I think Luke would have sounded at home calling the 1945 Derby, the 1955 Derby, or the 2005 Derby.
There, off and running. Anne of Green Gables sprung out on top. She's quickly joined and headed now by Dynamic Gain and Shane Sellers. They sprint clear by a length. Anne of Green Gables.
He has a great economy of language. He tells you a lot without telling you too much. When he says on the far turn is that the whip has come out on your horse, you know you're in trouble. I mean, there's little things you learn about Luke listening to Luke, but the thing I love most about him is his enthusiasm, his love for racing, and again, that timeless voice. I think he's one of the great announcers in America, and I think his stature is only going to grow in the years to come.
And right here you can see there's the mirror, and we use the mirror sometimes if you have a horse that's buried inside down in here. We'll use the mirror for the reverse angle, okay? So there's the winner there. There's the 3 who was second in this race. The 7 who was third.
Our photo finish operator, who also helps times the races. There's 2 big jobs. There are bursts of activity. Now those bursts of activity are critical. I mean, that equipment has got to work. You know, you come into a photo finish, you get 3 horses across the racetrack, and the photo doesn't work. You know, we're in a little bit of trouble here. We rely on those things. Those things have to work every race. You know, I really think he deserves to take a little rest between races, because in those couple of minutes he's working with each race, there's a lot of pressure involved, and his attention to detail is critical to making it work. When you see Peter Williams either on the backside in the morning painting a scene of the morning training, or in the paddock in the afternoon painting a race day scene, you know springtime has arrived. You know Kentucky Derby is here. He is just as dependable as the tulips in May or the roses we put over the withers of the Derby winner.
Global television coverage of the Kentucky Derby brings America's greatest race home to millions of fans across North America and around the world.
Kentucky Derby Day is a phenomenal thing in terms of media coverage. It is the greatest race in America, and obviously I'm biased, but I think it's the greatest race in the world. But just take a look at the numbers of media members that come here to cover the Kentucky Derby, and I think it validates that. We have this year at the Kentucky Derby, we had about 2,000 media. Everybody wants a piece of the big race, and especially for the network. NBC Television has the contract for the Kentucky Derby and the Visa Triple Crown right now, and they bring in an enormous crew with many camera positions. We of course have all of our local stations here in Louisville and in Lexington, nearby city, that want to come here and cover the Derby. They've got to have camera positions. They've got to have talent positions. ESPN is a big partner on Kentucky Derby, and they come in and they cover the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby.
Big Oaks Day, we'll be here from dawn until dusk doing our job. Of course, we work for Wave 3 NBC affiliate here. So we carry the Derby and Oaks live, and I'll be in the paddock doing all the pomp and circumstance there.
Yeah, I get the really plum assignment. I'll be outside the track today talking to people who aren't even here yet. So really great seats from 4th Street about 5 blocks out.
Bad assignment, good assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Derby fans come to the Downs from all corners of the world and all walks of life with one common desire: to see history in the making.
The big story is we've come to the Derby now about 27 years together, and about 24 years ago, exactly to the day, May 1st, we had our son, Justin, and my husband, after Justin was born, he looks at me and goes, "Well, I can go to the Derby now, can't I?" And I said, "Not unless you want to be divorced when you come back." So we've only missed one.
Well, she missed one. I called her bluff.
Derby week is actually weeks if you want to talk about it, because the Derby is the focal point of a civic celebration. It's one of the largest civic celebrations in America. The Kentucky Derby Festival has grown up around the Kentucky Derby, and it now starts 3 weeks before the Derby. It starts with a massive fireworks display, and it's really just one big party leading up to the first Saturday in May and Derby Day at Churchill Downs. But the excitement really steps up several notches during Derby week. Churchill Downs always opens a week before the Derby, the Saturday before the Run for the Roses, and we get a big crowd here. And you can really start to feel it in the air. And of course, all the Derby horses arrive by then. We have racing during Derby week every day except Monday, so the crowds start to build. And toward the middle part of Derby week, more and more people are taking some time off from their offices. It's said that in this town that after Wednesday, no business is accomplished in the city of Louisville after Wednesday of Derby week, because everybody's focusing on Saturday and the races, the celebration leading up to it. Our Thursday of Derby week now has drawn more than 24,000 fans this year. It's a big day. Friday, Kentucky Oaks Day, has drawn more than 100,000 people for the past 5 years. Of course, Derby Day itself is 150,000. And of course, not just the races, but everything swirling about it, the parties, the other Derby Festival events. It is one massive celebration leading up to a 2-minute sporting event that dates back 129 years, going on 130 years for next year. So it's a wonderful and exciting thing.
Whether you're enjoying the privileged view from famous Millionaires Row or part of the standing room only crowd,
you got to get here really early. I think I got out of bed at 4. I was at the track at a little after 5 this morning. Managed to be first in line and just ran over and with my partner, and we just started grabbing stuff up, claiming the spot, and here we are.
We having a ball over here at the Oaks, and we're kicking it back with all my friends, my wife, and all my wives here, as you can see. And we're not winning, but we're having fun.
100% Kentucky, and as sacred as Churchill Downs itself. The mint julep is another key ingredient of Derby Week.
Mint juleps are incredibly popular in Kentucky around Derby time. In fact, here at Churchill Downs on Oaks Day, which is Friday, and Derby Day, which is Saturday, they will sell approximately 90,000 mint juleps.
Hi, I'm Chris Morris from the Woodford Reserve Distillery. Woodford Reserve is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby in Churchill Downs, and it is used to make the classic mint julep, which is probably the oldest cocktail in the world. And it's a very simple cocktail to make. You make it with fresh ingredients, and you make it from the bottom up. You start with the julep cup, and to that cup you're going to put 1 teaspoon of confectionery sugar, 5 or 6 mint leaves, and then of course a little Woodford Reserve. And we are going to muddle those ingredients together with the handle of our wooden spoon. And muddling is simply crushing or bruising the mint to release its oils and its flavor. And we're going to coat the bottom of our cup with this muddle. Then we're going to add ice. Plenty of ice, the good cold cocktail. And then 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve, a straw. It's very important because you sip the julep from the bottom up, because you want to draw that Woodford Reserve through the mint and the sugar. And then you garnish with a sprig of mint. And it's very important you put that sprig right next to the straw, so when you sip the julep, you also get that nice mint aroma with every sip. And that's how simple it is to make the classic mint julep.
Okay, you've got your julep recipe. Now, how about another unique ingredient that makes up the Derby mix?
We drove 8 hours just to come to the Kentucky Derby, and this is my first time of experiencing the infield. Shannon, my best friend, has been here for a while,
This is my 9th infield, and it's crazy. It's completely out of control. You will see anything and everything in the infield.
The infield at Churchill Downs is one of the largest cities in the state of Kentucky, 2 days a year, but especially on Kentucky Derby Day. We've got a crowd of anywhere from 40 to 50,000 in the infield. It is an eclectic group of people. You've got people from all walks of life that come in there, and they just celebrate the essence of the Kentucky Derby. Now, they may not see a horse the entire day that they're here. Certainly, they may not see a horse in the flesh. They may see one on a TV screen. They may not even see that, but they're here for the Derby experience. We have families that have been coming here for generations. A lot of people who are race fans now are owners or trainers. They cut their teeth on the Derby in the infield. It was a great experience for them. They come back year after year, and even if they've got seats on in the box seats up on the 3rd floor clubhouse in the most expensive area on Derby Day, or they're on Millionaires Row, they've got great memories and great stories about their early Derby experiences in the infield.
The Derby Festival is as much a feast for the palate as the eyes. There's no shortage of unique flavors when it comes to dining Churchill Downs style.
One of our trademarks is chef table. And at Levy, it takes a chef to do a chef table. Anybody can put out a buffet. So we had 26 chef tables set up around the track in different locations, from our new suite location over there to the Eclipse here. The Turf Club had one. All the Sky Terraces had at least 2 or 3 going on. We fed about 12,000 people through our chef tables. I'm featuring some of the dishes that we do in our a la carte Eclipse and Turf Club. Behind me, I've got what I call my fresh roasted southern chicken. I use an Amish free-range chicken, and I do a nice bread stuffing with it with a little rosemary in it, and I serve a cranberry apricot chutney that goes with that dish. I also have my favorite salad is the shrimp and lobster salad, and that's done with a Louis dressing. It's very, very tasty. I've got my barbecue glazed strip steak right here with fresh mashed potatoes and country green beans. I also love our crab cakes. Levy Restaurant's signature dish is the crab cake. It's just nothing but jumbo lump crab, a little bit of lemon aioli, and we pan sear them, so we cut down on the calories a little bit. Of course, it's not Kentucky without the Louisville Hot Brown. The Hot Brown is derived from the Brown Hotel down in downtown Louisville. It's basically roasted turkey served on toast points with a Mornay sauce, topped with, I like to char my tomatoes before I put them on top, and then toast points on top, and that's all browned off with a little really good Parmesan cheese. You'll notice the banana cream pie. We make all that fresh every morning, top it with fresh whipped cream that we whip ourselves. We're old school here in our approach to food. We get back to the basics. We're in a country environment. We're going to give good country food, just the best as we can possibly make it. One of my favorite spots of the track is our terrace dining, which is just outside, right on the track from the Eclipse and the Turf Club. Of course, that's not for everybody, so I've got the pulled pork, the big cast iron kettle full of Carolina pulled pork and fresh Kaiser buns. You'll notice Chef Anthony slicing the sirloin today. We just take a nice top sirloin and we garlic stud it. We just make small incisions in the beef, and we took whole cloves of garlic and we stuff it inside. So when it cooks all down together, that roasted garlic flavor gets in the meat. One of my true pleasures for Derby week was going to the infield. We had some great food venues out there. The giant brat wagon. This thing can grill off like 1 billion brats in a day, I think.
Today we served probably about 2,500 brats today, and still going. So we're looking probably at 3,000 before the day is over. It's been a really good day.
We also sold about 15,000 hamburgers just on the Oaks in the Derby day. About 12,000 pulled pork sandwiches. Oodles and oodles of French fries. We just, a lot of food that went on here. Welcome to the Kentucky Derby hat, the first edible Derby hat. Everything up here is edible. All the flowers and everything are all made of sugar. It's a lemon cake with a raspberry fondant band and a vanilla fondant cover.
One word that defines the Derby is history. There's a lot of it, enough to fill a museum. And that's exactly what you'll find on the storied grounds of Churchill Downs.
Kentucky Derby Museum is truly a wonderful facility for truly celebrating the Kentucky Derby, Louisville history, and Churchill Downs history as well. Right as you walk into the museum, a starting gate leads you into a very exciting environment full of images and sounds of what makes the Kentucky Derby. Some of our highlighted exhibits in the Kentucky Derby area are the Kentucky Derby jewel glasses. There are people celebrate and collect these glasses all the way back to about 1938. There's also a celebration of Derby hats. What is a Derby hat? Everybody wants to know. Hats are a major tradition for wearing them to the Kentucky Derby, and it is part of history.
I was living in England for the last 16 months, and I picked the hat up while I was there. They wear hats for everything. They wear them to weddings and so forth, so they're easy to find over there.
Also, people want to know what the silks are and exactly who owns the silk. The owners have the silks and the jockeys wear the silks in the race. Also, you have the opportunity to watch any race from 1918 up until the present. So you have film on black and white to film on color, truly showing how much Churchill Downs has changed and how much the Kentucky Derby has changed throughout the year. When we renovated the museum in 2000, it was very important for the museum staff and curators to make sure we were creating an environment that would make you feel like you were there. One of our exhibits is called Life on the Farm, and if you stand there long enough, you can actually hear a horse being shod, you can hear birds around you. It makes you feel like you're in the middle of a barn. It takes you through some of the equipment that's used in the barn area, and also how much food goes into training the thoroughbred. There's an exhibit called Riders Up that's probably one of the favorites for the young and the young at heart. You have the opportunity to get on top of a horse, a plastic horse, and actually see what it's like to hold yourself in the position that a jockey would hold themselves in for 2 minutes at a time. It's a true challenge, but it's definitely worth doing when you're here at the museum. Probably the most photographed spot in the Kentucky Derby Museum is our winner's circle area. This is an exact replica of Churchill Downs winner's circle here in the museum. But we give you the opportunity to walk up to the horse, feel the garland of roses, and have your picture taken with the winning Derby winner. Now, behind the horse is the tote board, and those are the winning results for that year's Derby. Every year we renovate this exhibit to make sure it has the current Derby winning horse and jockey replica here in the museum. We have a 360-degree video presentation called The Greatest Race. When we renovated the museum in 2000, we updated to high-definition video, and we were first in the world to open up with a high-definition video presentation in the round. It's about a 15-minute show that really takes you through how the Kentucky Derby affects this whole town, our airports, our media, hotels, the environment around Churchill Downs and the city of Louisville. And it is the best thing to view when you're here in the museum, because it truly takes you to be right in the middle of the Kentucky Derby. Shows you what the infield looks like, shows you what the crowds look like, and you can also hear from some of the Hall of Fame jockeys, owners, and trainers tell their Derby story.
Through it all, from its grand traditions to its history, the true story of Churchill Downs is far more about a winning race. It's about the place and the show that makes Churchill Downs home to the greatest 2 minutes in sports, but more than that, the showplace for an unforgettable spectacle like no other in the world.
Your fate is delivered, your moment's at hand. It's the chance.